In this lesson, we'll create the pop-ups for the quest details and the recipe details. The code is basically going to be the same as what we did for the inventory details. We'll start by modifying SOS_CS_RPG.ViewModels game session, and here on lines 94 and 95, added the new properties for the quest details and the recipe details. Then, inside the constructor, I made a quick change to the inventory details, some of the values, so I could position the inventory details in a little bit nicer place now that we're opening up 3 of these pop-ups. And then I added the start location information for the quest details and the recipe details pop-ups. Next, we'll go into the WPF UI project in the main window.xaml. And the first thing I did in the inventory details canvas, I used to have an XName attribute. We don't need that since we're not referencing that canvas by the name, so I just deleted that. Then on lines 130 to 201, I added the new player quest details canvas, basically just copying the canvas for the inventory details, pasting it down here, and then changing everything to use the quest details properties. Inside the data grid for the button, I created the new close quest window on click, since we want a separate function to handle this. And inside the data grid, after fixing the binding to the current player.quest, I took the data grid columns that used to be down in the tab item. Then on lines 203 to 282, did the same thing for the player recipes details pop-up. Just copy pasted, change the binding to use the recipe details property values, change the data grid to use the current player.recipes as its item source, change the button to use a new close recipes windows on click, and then copy the data grid columns from the old tab items. And now that we're not using the tab items, you can delete that whole tab item section that was on lines 296 to 354. And I went down to the action controls grid. This used to take up just the right column, but now I said set the grid column to 0 and give it a column span of 2 so that it covers the whole bottom. We deleted the tab items that used to be on row 2 in column 0. Now the action controls will take up the whole bottom. Step 3 is to go into mainwindow.xaml.cs, and on lines 110 and 111, where we used to do the set tab focus, now we'll say game session quest details.isVisible equals the not quest details.isVisible, and the same with the recipes. So I will show or hide the inventory details, Q will show or hide the quest details, and R will show or hide the recipe details. And since we're not using the set tab focus function anymore, that used to be on lines 125 to 138, I just deleted that function. And then down on lines 196 through 204, I added the quest close or the close quest window on click event handler and the close recipes windows on click event handler, just like we had for the inventory details, but now for the new pop-up controls. And the final thing, as always, will be to test the game. So now the actions take up the whole bottom. If I hit Q, I get my quest list. Hit R, I get my recipe list. And I get the inventory list. And I can move all these around, hide them, reshow them. If I go north, see here I got the new quest and it shows up here in the quest control. So it looks like it's all working. I think the next steps are going to be, I'll probably do the player details as its own lesson because I want to clean up the formatting and make this look a little bit nicer. Then after that, probably move the game messages here into its own pop-up control and maybe change it so it only stores or shows the last 100 And the final part of handling the canvases will be to modify the save game code so that it stores the location and visibility of these pop-up canvases. So when the player comes back in to play another time, they'll be in the same position and the same visibility. As always, if you have any questions, please leave a comment below the video or on the support page, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible.